Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like...
But you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
I'm looking at them run through the field.
At least 30 minutes to open up the door.
Yeah, I don't have no problem with her. She's laughing and giggling like it's a joke. You know, kids grew up with their fathers. I did it. It acts like it's my mama's fault. Because at the end of the day, when I was 15, when I was 2 months.
For his first child, Carrie, Michelle, and the name needs to be changed to Freeman. You need to grow up and be a man. This woman dictates to you about just be there for your son. You like to clown, your son will love it. He loves to laugh and play.
Can you handle this? Miss Whalen admits to a steamy affair with Mr. LeBlanc, who's already hitched, claiming he's the daddy of her little tyke, Vincent. Mr. LeBlanc, desperate to save his marriage, is set on proving he's not the father, while Mrs. LeBlanc is totally over it, stating if the DNA test shows hubby is the dad, she's out of there.
Ms. Whalen, you admit you've been in a sexual relationship with Mr. LeBlanc, a married man, and claim he is the father of your 2-year-old son, Vincent Whalen. You are determined to prove that you are not father of Miss Whalen's son in hopes of saving your marriage. You are at your breaking point and say if the DNA proves your husband is the father, your marriage is over.
Hold on to your popcorn. Miss Whalen spills the beans about how she dropped the pregnancy bomb on Mr. LeBlanc during a particularly cozy night. She's freaking out about how to break the news, while he's sweating bullets about the whole ordeal. Stick around because the drama in the courtroom is about to heat up even more.
It was one night telling him that I might be pregnant because I hadn't started my ministry and got some pregnancy tests. Asked me to take them. He sat on side my bed holding his head. When I took the first one, I gave it to him and it showed that I was pregnant. He asked me to take another one because he was in disbelief about the first one, so I took another one. You can't be pregnant. It's only because he didn't know how he was gonna go back and tell his wife that I was pregnant.
Heated argument between the parties. Did you see that coming? As the room heats up, Ron, the court officer, jumps in to stop Miss Whalen and Mrs. LeBlanc from turning the courtroom into a wrestling ring. The judge steps in to scold everyone, reminding them this isn't just about them, it's about the kids too. Keep watching, fireworks are about to get even wilder.
He knew he could do that over there. He kept good put out over here. Over there, he knew he could do it. It's called love. Feelings you can put in your pocket and throw away. Feelings you can put in your pocket, you can throw them on the ground. Love, I love my mother.
Forth, but all y'all look crazy because you sit up there arguing back and forth. He doing nothing but running back and forth. It's not even solving anything.
Doubts about paternity due to rumors. You're not gonna believe this twist. Mr. LeBlanc throws a curveball, questioning Vincent's paternity based on neighborhood gossip that Miss Whalen might have had a fling with the guy next door. The plot thickens with this added layer of drama, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story. The next reveal is a doozy. Don't miss it.
Very promiscuous, like I said. The mailman, not only that, you sleeping with a married man.
You
came to you because you were easy.
Hold on, Miss LeBlanc.
He couldn't do what he wanted to do.
You're saying this marriage is over, finally done?
I'm at my breaking point.
Grab your tissues, or maybe not. Miss Whalen opens up about how messed up this whole situation has made her feel, from her self-worth to her living situation. The judge isn't having any of it, pointing out Mr. LeBlanc's habit of making bad decisions and the emotional chaos it's caused. What happens next is jaw-dropping. Stay tuned.
And it hurts, but then it doesn't, because at the end I'm gonna take care of my kids regardless. But they didn't ask to be brought here.
I love my wife, Your Honor. I want to be with my wife. But at the same time, my wife, it's a struggle because it's hard to try to be with my wife knowing there's a possibility that these other kids are mine. Trying to have a move forward in our marriage, it's hard for her to accept, bringing other kids into the household that's outside our marriage.
And now, the moment of truth. The DNA results are in. And guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. LeBlanc, you are the father.
The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as things kick off. The introduction of the case, Hicks versus Smith, sets the stage with Ms. Hicks pointing fingers at her past mistakes, hoping to salvage her relationship, while Mr. Smith strongly denies being the father of her 3-month-old daughter, Honesty. Ms. Hicks is banking on a DNA test to prove Mr. Smith's paternity, which he opposes, armed with a bombshell witness, none other than the plaintiff's sister.
Ms. Hicks, you say the sins of your past have brought you into court today to save your relationship. You are petitioning the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Honesty.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Smith lays out his defense, claiming he's got medical proof that he's not the father and is ace in the hole, a witness who's going to back him up. When the plaintiff's sister steps in as that witness, siding with Mr. Smith, the courtroom tension cranks up a notch. She supports his claim that he isn't the father, adding a spicy layer to the drama. Next up, things are going to heat up even more, if that's even possible.
Mr. Smith, you say you have medical evidence prove you are not Honesty's father, and if that's not enough, your bombshell witness will close your case. The plaintiff's very own sister says you are not the father. Jerome, please escort her in.
Gonna have you go right up here on the left side.
The stakes are high and the gloves are off. During fiery exchanges in the courtroom, Ms. Hicks defends her honor, passionately asserting she knows the father of her children, while her sister throws accusations of dishonesty and infidelity her way. Accusations fly about Ms. Hicks's colorful romantic history, causing gasps and murmurs from the audience. Buckle up, the roller coaster is just getting started.
I got something to say. She's telling false lies. I know for a fact he was not the only one she was sleeping with.
You're there in the same bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people. I get.
How long have I been your sister? They was staying with me for some time. From when I know my sister's a cheater. She been like that her whole life, okay?
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes a curveball. Mr. Smith spills the beans about a personal medical condition he claims has left him infertile, throwing a wrench in the paternity question. Ms. Hicks counters, arguing their child is living proof he's wrong, which ignites even more fiery debate over his medical claims and her fidelity. Just wait, the next part is a doozy.
So you believe you can't have children, and this is what you were told by a medical professional. Did you inform Ms. Hicks about when you all were in a sexual relationship?
No, Your Honor. He never informed me about any of this. When he did tell me, this came up like 2 months after Honesty was born, that you could have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
As the plot thickens, Mr. Smith recounts a wild tale of another man making a daring escape out Ms. Hicks's window, which he presents as evidence of her cheating. They hash out the details of the pregnancy and Mr. Smith's initial reaction, adding layers to the already complex relationship drama. It's a soap opera in the making, and the next witness's words might just blow the roof off.
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly. 30 minutes to open up the door.
The day he came to the house, he has a habit of losing his key.
You won't believe this bit. Dr. Jamila Gator steps up to shed light on Mr. Smith's hypogonadism, the plot twist in our tale of disputed paternity. The courtroom dives into a medical jargon-filled debate about whether his condition truly means he can't father children. Mr. Smith sticks to his guns, but the doubt hangs heavy in the air. Hang tight, the judge is about to drop a bombshell.
So hypogonadism is when the body doesn't produce enough testosterone. You can either be born with it, can develop it later in life. Usually from things like infection or an injury to the testicles can also cause it. But nature gives us 2 testicles, and so usually it has to be a found injury to not one, but both testicles to actually cause hypogonadism.
The moment of truth is about to drop like a hot potato.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are the father.
The room is buzzing as everyone settles in. The case kicks off with Judge Lake laying down the law, introducing it as Lewis versus Scott. Mr. Lewis steps up claiming he's the real deal, Crystal Scott's biological dad, though he's been MIA due to some mysterious reasons. He's super confident that the DNA test is about to make him a happy man, believing for years that he's the dad.
Mr. Lewis, you say 35 years you've always known you were Miss Scott's biological father. Circumstances kept you away. You claim the DNA results prove you are Crystal Scott's dad.
Here comes Mr. Scott, ready to drop side of the story. He's been there since day one, at the hospital when Crystal was born, and he's been the dad she's always known. He's still hitched to Crystal's mom and bets all his chips that the DNA test will back him up. Strap in, because you won't believe what's coming.
Mr. Scott, you claim you are Crystal's biological father. You were at her birth, raised her from day one, and are still legally married to her mother. You say the results prove you are Crystal's dad.
Now, Mr. Lewis gets all mushy, pouring his heart out. He recalls a chat from 35 years back when Crystal's mom told him he was the dad. He's been holding on to that like a kid with a superhero cape, seeing bits of himself in Crystal and convinced she's his mini-me. The drama's about to ramp up, so keep your eyes peeled.
She is my daughter. I believed her when her mom told me 35 years ago that I was the father. I never doubted her. I look at her, a lot of pictures. I looked at her, she became an adult. Have a lot of the same characteristics. When I look at her, I say, wow, I see myself. We've taken some pictures together with the other kids. She looks as much like me as all the other kids.
Crystal takes the spotlight, sharing her tale of growing up thinking Mr. Scott was her bio dad because that's what her mom told her. She reminisces about fishing trips and vacations that painted the perfect family picture. But hold on to your popcorn. The plot thickens in just a sec.
Your Honor, my mom never told me that Mr. Lewis was my biological father. My dad here, he raised me. He taught me how to fish. We went on family vacation. That's when we were in Florida. Just last year, we were there for a family reunion. Well, he taught me what to expect from a man, hardworking, everything.
Things get real as Mr. Lewis spills the beans about an 8-year secret romance with Crystal's mom, which Mr. Scott knew nada about. Imagine that soap opera twist. This affair adds layers of secrets and drama to the mix, making you wonder just how this family web will untangle.
I was in love with her. I believe she was in love with me. I was an unhappy man. She was an unhappy wife.
So you knew she was married, and you said you were an unhappy man.
I was an unhappy husband. We became involved. We had probably an 8-year relationship. She told me that at 7 months, she asked me, who do you think this child is? I said, well, it's your husband. She said, no, it's yours.
Crystal reminisces about the good old days, like those sneaky store meetups with Mr. Lewis when she was just a kiddo. Mom introduced him as just a friend, but they were handing out more than just friendly hugs. Buckle up, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
When I was a kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, when she would say, let's go to the store, that's when we would go and meet Mr. Lewis in the store. Of course, it would just be me, her, and I. He would give me $5, $10. They would walk a little bit down the aisle, you know, and hug, kiss. And
you saw your mother hug and kiss
I would
Mr.
just
Lewis.
be.
And so who did your mother tell you this man was?
She just told me he was a friend.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats for the big reveal. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Lewis.
Can you even imagine? Ms. Percy kicks things off by demanding a paternity test to prove Mr. Gale is the pops of her 26-year-old kiddo, Tedria. She's dishing out that she's coughed up close to $200,000 raising her daughter solo, thinks it's high time Mr. Gale foots some of the bill. You've got to hear how Mr. Gale tackles this one.
Miss Percy, you've petitioned the court for a paternity test. You're here to prove to Mr. Gale and his wife that he is the father of your 26-year-old daughter, Tedria Glenn. You claim that you've spent nearly $200,000 to raise your daughter, and he's done nothing.
Did he really just say that? Mr. Gale snaps back at Ms. Percy's hefty claims, explaining he only got wind of possibly being Tedria's dad when she hit 15. Plus, he's sweating bullets over the thought that his marriage might crumble if the test shows he's the father. Oh boy, the next bit is a doozy.
Mr. Gale, you claim you weren't there for Ms. Glenn because you only found out she may be your child when she was 10 years old. Your big fear is that your wife will leave you if you're proven to be the father.
You could cut the tension with a knife. The courtroom watches a fiery exchange as Ms. Percy accuses Mr. Gale of dodging daddy duties because of his wife's meddling. The spat heats up with Mr. Gale, insisting his wife doesn't block his dad duties. But hold on to your popcorn. It's about to get even spicier.
Be with his children, to spend time with his children.
My wife has never stopped me seeing any of my kids.
Every time my daughter calls him, it's like, oh, I can't talk to you right now. Tanya's sitting right here.
Right, because I don't want to disrespect my wife.
How would you disrespect your wife? This is your daughter.
I knew that was my daughter.
It's your daughter.
This just turned into a soap opera. They dive into the nitty-gritty of Mr. Gale's past romances, with Ms. Percy claiming their love story lasted way longer than he admits. The judge is on a mission to sort out the timeline to see if it matches Tedria's arrival to planet Earth.
It was committed. We was 7 years.
Wasn't no 7 years.
How long was it?
4 or 5 years.
No, it was.
When I got with her, she was 16, I was 21. Then when I was 26, I was with my wife.
Your birthday?
October 9th, 1988.
Mr. Gale, you got married in February of 2002. How long were you together before that?
15 years.
Hello.
You won't believe this part. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Gale lets slip about his on and off flings with Ms. Percy during his marriage, which she insists included more than a few sleepovers. The accusations fly left and right, contradicting each other's stories about when and how often they were together. Strap in, because Tedria is about to drop some truth bombs.
We was still sleeping together the whole time you was with Tanya.
No, we wasn't. We slept together one time, Your Honor.
Still trying to sleep with.
What?
Whoa, that's cute. Don't lie.
Oh my.
Ms. Glenn was conceived, if you are her biological father,
well, she
during
already
that time.
had somebody else tested.
Everyone's ears perked up for this. Tedria steps up and pours her heart out, desperate for some closure on who her real dad is. Her plea touches on feeling left out and her ache for a father figure, tugging at everyone's heartstrings.
I may not have had a father, but I'm somebody. I don't have no problem with her. She's laughing and giggling like it's a joke. You know, kids grew up with their fathers. I did it. It acts like it's my mama's fault. Because at the end of the day, when I was 15, with those 2 months, you should have been a woman and said, this girl don't need to grow up without a father.
Grab your tissues, folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Gale, you are not her father.
Hear me, boo. Holler at your girl. Let's roll.
What you talking?
Here we go, folks. The opening act kicks off with the case of Rayford versus Freeman, where Ms. Rayford accuses Mr. Freeman of fathering her 8-month-old son Terry and then bailing on them both. She claims he convinced her to have his baby, then jetted back to his fiancée and now denies the kiddo.
Ms. Rayford, you say Mr. Freeman's inability to be honest has landed you smack in the middle of a love triangle that produced your 8-month-old son Terry, whom he now denies. You say that after begging you to have his child, Mr. Freeman abruptly left your relationship, turned to his fiancée, and started denying your baby.
Oh boy, the sparks are flying. Mr. Freeman paints a picture of his time with Ms. Rayford as nothing more than a brief fling, slinging accusations that she was not exactly monogamous. He's dead set on the belief that he's not the dad. You'll want to stick around for what's next. It's a doozy.
Mr. Freeman, you say Ms. Rayford was nothing more than a fling who is now obsessed with you and fiancée Ms. Triplett. You claim that during your brief time with Rayford, she was sleeping with multiple men, and there is no way you are her son's father.
You're not gonna believe this. Ms. Rayford lays into Mr. Freeman, calling him a deadbeat dad who hasn't lifted a finger for baby Terry. She's airing out all their dirty laundry about how he skipped out on fatherly duties.
Mr. Freeman hasn't done nothing. He's been a deadbeat. He refused to step up to the plate ever since he got with this Miss Triplett.
Hold on, first of all, that erupted from 0 to 100 in less than 1 second.
Wait till you get a load of this. The courtroom turns into a hotbed of drama as Ms. Rayford and Ms. Triplett, the fiancée, exchange fiery words, forcing Judge Lake to step in as things nearly boil over.
Today, that this is his son, so he could step up and be the man he needs to be for his first child, Terry, Michelle, and the name needs to be changed to Freeman. You need to grow up and be a man. This woman dictates to you about just be there for your son. You like to clown? Your son will love it. He loves to laugh and play.
Hang on to your seats. Mr. Freeman isn't taking these accusations lying down. He argues he's tried to be there for Terry, but keeps hitting walls, mostly thrown up by Ms. Rayford. He spills the beans on his thwarted attempts to be a dad. Oh, and just when you think it can't get more chaotic, it does.
Is this because you do not believe Terry is your biological son?
I don't believe he's my son. I tried multiple times to come to Trina's house and deliver stuff. I brought things for the child, you know what I'm saying? She's neglecting me, told me I don't need your stuff.
This round's a real slugfest. Accusations fly back and forth between Ms. Rayford and Ms. Triplett, stirring up a storm of jealousy and mudslinging. The courtroom feels more like a reality TV show set. Don't go anywhere. The main event is up next.
So you know every move that man make, huh?
Nope, I thought he made a wrong move when he went over.
Oh, you jealous. You wish that was your son, huh?
How can I be
you
jealous?
wish that was your... The only thing I refused was on this particular day, he was saying that he had came by once and he had bought a few items for the baby.
In your mind, when he brought those things, he was accepting Terry. He was for the baby.
Yeah, he had been accepting Terry.
Fasten your seatbelts. Mr. Freeman sticks to his guns, denying paternity and recounting his limited and, according to him, protected interactions with Ms. Rayford. He recounts his generosity toward the child, but guess what? She's not buying it, and neither will you when you hear what comes next.
I'm here today to prove that I'm not Trina's baby daddy. Me and Trina was together. It was only just a fling. Trina was still having sex with multiple guys. She's obsessed.
He believes you are still having sex with other people.
No, it's not true. We met in December. We met on a dating site.
Cue the dramatic music. The debate zeroes in on when exactly Ms. Rayford got pregnant, with Mr. Freeman and Ms. Triplett challenging the timeline she proposes. This isn't just a paternity test. It's a full-blown soap opera.
How do we end up here?
I had to go to California and take care of some business. So we were living together at the time. He didn't have money for a plane ticket because we were in a child. It was not responsible to buy him a plane ticket where he didn't go, where he had a job.
So you're pregnant?
By this time, end of February, I'm pregnant.
Your Honor, she was not pregnant before she went to California.
Here's a plot twist. Ms. Rayford whips out a calendar to pinpoint the conception with some major personal events like birthdays and Valentine's Day. She's trying to map out a baby-making schedule, but hold your horses. The next revelation is a real jaw-dropper.
February 15th, I'm gonna use that date, my birthday, that we had sex, although it was a busy month.
Wait a minute, a busy month? How busy was it?
It was too busy. By the end of it, I was pregnant. I was finding out we was caught up. It was good. I ain't gonna lie. 2 minutes at a time is good. So I'm here. This is my punishment.
And now for the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Freeman, you are the father.
Hell no, we cannot go through 17 more years of this.
Buckle up, folks. Ms. Dallas drags Mr. Stewart to court to sort out if he's the daddy of her little dude, Lamar. She's totally gobsmacked he's denying paternity, especially with his secret double life drama. Mr. Stewart's counter is a juicy one. He claims Ms. Dallas wasn't exactly playing house with just him, hinting that baby Lamar could have a different dad. Oh, the tea is just getting spilled. Keep your eyes peeled for what's coming.
You have dragged the defendant, Mr. Stewart, into court today to prove is the father of your newborn son, 1 month old. You say you are shocked that he's denying he's baby Lamar's biological dad, especially since you discovered he's the one a double life. You claim that it's Ms. Dallas who's been from Faithful, and you believe that baby Lamar's dad, any one of multiple men.
You're not gonna believe this scoop. Here's Ms. Dallas spilling how she met Mr. Stewart, leading to their casual fling, turning into breakfast dates and more. Turns out, Mr. Stewart was keeping a little something under wraps. Yep, he was married. When Ms. Dallas popped the big question, the crowd's gasp was louder than a dropped mic. Hold on to your popcorn, there's more drama ahead.
Up a couple of times. I'm tired of going to the room. You said you have a house, you own it. And he was like, you know, I have unwanted company there. So I'm like, unwanted company? I'm like, you got a girlfriend? He like, no. I'm like, you have a baby mom there? He like, no. I'm like, you got a wife? And then he was like, yeah. So he proceeded to tell me like, oh, they going through a divorce.
Check this out. Mr. Stewart lays it out plain. He didn't think his marital status was worth mentioning. Judge Lake isn't having any of it and schools him on why that's kinda a big deal, leading him to admit he was out there acting like he's single. Things are about to get even juicier, so don't blink.
Did you meet Miss Dallas, date her casually, have sex with her?
It didn't quite go like that.
How did it go?
You know, it didn't come up.
You were basically out acting like a single man.
I wouldn't act, yes, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
I'm glad you went on ahead and told the truth.
I had to think about it.
Oh, so you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Get ready for a curveball. After finding out Mr. Stewart was still hitched, Ms. Dallas thought about calling it quits, but life threw her a curveball. She was pregnant, with dreams of a happy home dancing in her head. Courtesy of Mr. Stewart's sweet nothings, she stayed. The roller coaster is just climbing. Watch for the drop.
We were living together, but we were having problems of our own.
Ms. Dallas found out he was married. Did you have second thoughts about dating a married man?
Yes, I did have second thoughts, but once everything slurred, like I was already pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I love Cedric. He was telling me like, I'm gonna do the divorce, we gonna have a house, all this, we gonna raise our son together. I was believing him because that's all I had to do was believe him.
Things are heating up. Just when you think it's sorted, in comes a plot twist. A pal starts whispering to Mr. Stewart that Ms. Dallas might have been playing the field when Lamar was conceived. Plus, Mr. Stewart doesn't think the kiddo looks like him. Strap in, this wild ride's about to get wilder.
He started out, so-called my associate, telling him and his wife that I was sleeping around with multiple men when I conceived Lamar.
Someone that knew you. They start giving you information.
But it was the same friend that sent him naked pictures of herself to him that I was sleeping around with somebody else. So why would say that she want to sleep with you?
Wait for it. The plot thickens with Mr. Stewart getting some scandalous pics from Ms. Dallas's so-called friend, who also accuses her of cheating. This bit of gossip makes the friend look shady and adds more fuel to the firestorm of paternity drama. Don't go anywhere. The next bit is a doozy.
Friends send you naked pictures, Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Your Honor. But that's one of my doubts.
What's your other doubt?
The other doubt was when he got here, he don't look like me. Look at his hair, he look mixed.
He don't look mixed. All babies come out with fine, pretty sure.
What point do you have to come clean with your wife about this baby?
I told her.
Picture of the...
Oh boy, here we go. Under the heat of the courtroom lights, Mr. Stewart fesses up about his current setup with Ms. Dallas. They're kinda, sorta, maybe living together, but not really. All while he's still legally married. Yep, his wife's right there in court too. The tension's thickening. Next up is a moment you'll have to see to believe.
So you and Ms. Dallas, you live together?
We kinda...
Well, what's that?
You know what I mean?
We live together, but we go back and forth.
We moved in together, but we go back and forth. Like, she done moved out, came
2
back.
days.
You know what I mean? And
are you all divorced? Still married?
legally, we're still married.
Ms. Stewart, what do you want? Do you want marriage to work? Are you...
Roberta knows what Roberta has to do for herself.
Guess what happens next? Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Stewart, you are the father.
Hey, I told you, baby. I told you.